This is PBS.
About Your House with Bob Yapp was partially underwritten by the National Trust for Historic Preservation.
In past places and future spaces, from main streets to back roads, we're helping Americans bring preservation home. The National Trust for Historic Preservation.
It can't be 96 degrees. I can't believe it. But it is 96 degrees. Well, welcome to today's program. It's about how to stay cool, and I'm not doing a very good job right now, I'll tell you that. But here in the Midwest, of course, we have all kinds of heat in the summer, and it goes right along with really nasty humidity way up in the 90% range. And I'm sitting here dying. I got the window open. I'm trying to wear shorts, but I am sweating to death. Now, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of ways to get cool without spending a lot of money. And we're not going to talk about central air conditioning units because everybody talks about that. But we are going to talk about window air conditioner units because a lot of you out there use those units. And they're really, really nice and they do a good job. But we're going to talk about how they work and how to use them and how to place them and stuff like that. So if I can ever get myself unstuck from this chair with all this sweat, we'll go talk about it. All right, some air conditioning, boy. I tell you what, it is hot, and I'm glad this is here. And what's interesting about it to me is that it's sitting in front of a radiator, which is exactly what I wanted to show you anyway. Now, in this house, they have hot water heat, and you may have steam or hot water. And in houses with radiators, it's kind of difficult to put central air conditioning in. It's doable with downdrafts and things like that, but it's a little bit tough. Now, you may not want to spend the money to have central air conditioning because it can be a little bit expensive throughout your entire house. You might want to just do one room or what have you. Or you might like to sweat to death in one room and want to come in and get cold in another. Now, some other things you have to remember are that energy efficiency is a big issue with air conditioning units, how to size them, how they work, all that stuff. We're going to go to an appliance store where they repair and sell air conditioners, and then they will tell you the bottom line scoop. Boy, this feels great. Get this off of here. How's it look?
Needs cleaning, Bob.
Oh, my gosh. Look at the filter on that thing. If you can even call it a filter. This is Ben Feaster. He's a neighborhood appliance guy here in the town I live in Rock Island, Illinois. And we're going to talk about air conditioners for a second, but talk about what you do. Now, he sells appliances, all kinds of appliances, but what else do you do?
We do all major services, including air conditioning service.
Here in the shop and out in people's homes,
That's
all
right.
different kinds
That's
of
right.
things.
That's right.
And that's what I like about having an appliance store like this, is it's a full-service, one-stop shop. Now, some of the big major discount houses, they sell a lot of this stuff, but you don't get the service, and that's what I like about it. Well, all right, we know this is dirty as all get out. Well, let's take the top off of this. You already got the nuts off. Let's see what we've got in here. Is it any cleaner inside?
No, Bob, this is your house, right?
That's pretty bad. No, it's not my house. One of my shop air conditioners, actually. All right, well, let's just talk about what this is all about. Now, when people call you with problems with air conditioners, what's the main problem?
Mostly dirty.
It's not Freon?
Nope, mostly dirty.
But everybody thinks it's Freon.
I know, Bob, but it's mostly dirty.
So what do you charge to come out to somebody's house, bring this back to the shop, and clean it?
About $60, $70.
And how,
usually
what,
takes
high pressure wash it?
Right, we bring it in, take it apart, clean it with a high pressure washer.
Well, that's not bad. That seems pretty good. And once a year?
No, about once every 3 years.
Okay, at the most?
Yes.
Every 2, 3 years? Okay, that makes sense. And that will help the efficiency and keep it more like what it's supposed to be?
Right, that's true.
Well, when it comes to efficiency, the EER rating, and I see this has one of 9. Now, what does that mean?
It's pretty high. You can go up to about a 10 on a house air conditioner, domestic.
The EER is the energy
Efficiency ratio.
Okay,
Very
okay.
good.
So this one's actually pretty high.
Yes, that it
10,
is.
And 10 is about the max.
About the max they go.
But what happens when it gets dirty? How efficient is it?
About 3.
Not very efficient at all. Okay, well, let's show them what there's a couple parts to this. Now, we've got a fan inside here that runs everything. Does that go bad once in a while?
Yeah, if we don't keep them oiled and clean, they go. This is probably the bigger problem.
Yeah. And what is this?
This is your compressor.
The compressor, okay, and that's like the heart of
That's
the
the
system.
part that goes bad when you don't do the cleaning.
Yeah, and how much does it usually cost to replace one of those?
About $400.
Yeah, about $400. That's my price. Everybody else gets it for $2, right?
At least.
Right. Okay, so you go through all of this when you clean it and do all that stuff. We know that you want to get as high an EER rating, energy efficiency ratio.
Right.
And then what about how you get these babies installed into a house? I want to talk about sizing them too, but installation always seems that, they're always hanging out of windows wrong.
Well, Bob, when they come from when you pick them up, they have installation instructions people don't follow.
Just follow the instructions.
Rule of thumb is you don't want them tipping in.
Like this.
But you do want them tipping to the rear about a quarter of a bubble.
So if you put a level on top of it when it's hanging out the window, you want it to drop down to the outside about a quarter of a bubble.
Yes.
That way, if there's any condensation that builds up in there, it can roll out the back.
That's correct.
That makes good sense. Now, what about sizing? What I like to do, especially for my shop, is to go get a great big 24,000 BTU and just crank it, but the problem is it never seems to work very well.
You probably overbought.
Okay,
It's
well,
it's probably too big for your situation. You need to size your shop. Otherwise, you're not dehumidifying and cooling.
Okay.
You're doing one or the other, and it's not going to work correctly.
So the idea is to get one that's exactly the right size for the room, not too small, not too big.
Right.
Okay.
You need to size your room. Otherwise, you're wasting money. Either you're running it all the time or you're not running enough.
Well, here's a chart for you to look at. It gives you an idea of exactly how to size your room air conditioner and where you can find the information. All right, well, we've talked about installing them. We've talked about the energy efficiency ratio. We've talked about all the different things that go on with this. But what I want to know is if I can play with the Freon and get this thing going. You going to let me play with the tools?
You can play with it all you want, just don't get caught.
You need to be licensed, don't you?
You need to have a EER or a EPA certification.
Right, okay.
Okay, and all that says is
Environmental Protection Agency.
Right.
Yeah.
You've gone through the classes and you know how to handle the stuff so that you don't vent them. Yeah. By the way, if you vent one and you get caught, I hear it's about a $25,000 fine.
So you're certified, though.
Yeah, but
okay.
more than I make a day.
Yeah. Well, I've seen somebody go out to a central air conditioning unit, cut the copper thing outside, just watch that stuff go all. It's very dangerous, so you don't want to do it. And
$25,000.
one quick last question. Now that we're getting away from Freon more and more because of the ozone layer, are they going to start coming out with window air conditioners that use something different than Freon?
Alternative gas?
Yeah.
Yes, probably eventually, but they right now on window air conditioners are still using the R22, which is still an HSC.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Do you think we ought to even save this thing?
Let's get it back. I think we should.
I'll tell you what, there are wrong ways to install window air conditioning units. Well, there are right ways as well, but this one is just pathetic. This little drip lip right here is designed so that when condensation gets inside of here, it drips out. Some of them have a little hose coming off. You see a little rust there. That's okay because that's what it used to do, but it hasn't any water there for a long time because if you look over here, you can see that it's actually angled so that the nose is way up high. What that's doing is draining all that condensation into the house. I'll bet it's dripping down the floor and even making a hole there. Then, of course, all these cable shows, these home improvement shows on cable talk about how to use duct tape. Well, this face is coming off because all the screws have rusted. They got that duct taped on. We've got the cardboard duct taped on. They even have duct tape over these vents, which is restricting the airflow, and that's not a good thing. But what's really amazing is that this nose is way up in the air because it's supported by this 2x4, which goes down to the ground, and it sits on a concrete block, which isn't stable at all. That can shift and move. And look how loose this thing is. That's scary. I mean, that's really scary. Let's take a minute, though, and go look at a window air conditioning unit that was installed correctly. Now, this one's just about the same size, but look how it sits in there nice and square, and the little accordion sides come out to the jamb to keep the cold air from getting out. And the side vents aren't covered up with duct tape, and there's actually no big 2x4 holding things up, but it is tilted to the outside just a hair, and if you look at this level, you can see the bubbles just off center. It's perfect to get the condensation out. great way to stay cool in the hot summer is to sit out on a screened-in porch. Now, this house was built just after the turn of the century, and the porch is original. It has screens all the way around, and it keeps the bugs out. Now, we all know now that bugs can cause disease and all kinds of problems like that. What's interesting, though, is that Teddy Roosevelt was president in 1901, and they were down building the Panama Canal in that period of time. And all these guys had to live in these huts. Well, they realized that all the bugs were causing disease and stuff, so they put screens on. And that helped popularize the whole concept of using screens on a screened-in porch. It's kind of an interesting thing. Now, over here, I have some samples. Sit myself right down on this nice rocking chair of different types of screening material. Now, this is fiberglass. This is pretty popular. I see this in a lot of campers and places like that, but it's real flimsy and it tends to tear, so I don't even recommend it. It costs between 60 and 80 cents a square foot. Same price range, 60 to 80 cents a square foot, is aluminum screen. Now, this is real popular. It's what you see on most porches. This is raw aluminum. If you're looking at a house from the street up to a porch, you can see the screening with the raw. Another version of the aluminum is what we call charcoal. And it actually disappears a little bit because it's a little bit darker if you're looking at a house from the street. It costs the same amount of money, basically. Now, this is almost double the price. This is called bronze screening. And what's unique about this, of course, is that it will never rust. Well, neither will aluminum, but it will oxidize over time. And it's especially prone to it around the coasts where you get a lot of sea breeze with salt in the air. And this is impervious to that. And so along the coast, it's a good idea to use bronze screen. And after a while, it'll turn green, just like the copper that you see on gutters and things like that, and actually disappear a little bit as well. They're great products. Just make sure you get the one that's going to work for you. Now, let's go take a look at a new house where they built a screen-in porch on the back that's kind of unique. I do love this one. It has really almost full-view screens, but they're screen doors from the lumberyard, inexpensive, and they've been cut down a little bit in width and everything to fit in there to make it look like a big screen-in porch with a full view. I just love it. Now, they've taken some canvas awnings to block out some sunlight at certain parts of the day and keep the dust out. Neat stuff. Well, those are some great screened-in porches. I love them. But I'll tell you what I really love, and that's sitting on my open front porch catching the prevailing winds. Now, where I live, they're coming from the northwest, and my house was positioned to just catch them beautifully. Now, not every house is positioned that way, and your porch may not be where the winds are coming. So, something to think about is to build your addition or to build a house, if you're going to do either of those, with the prevailing wind, so you can sit on your porch like I do and catch the cool breeze. Sue, I'm walking down the street and you have a fan outside. It's supposed to go inside.
Well, you know, when it's hot and muggy outside, this cools us off.
This is great. It really is a great idea. It's like down south in the swamps or something, you know.
It really, and it helps with the mosquitoes, too.
Well, now I'm renovating a house 2 blocks from here. So this is Sue Carruthers. She's my neighbor. And I'm going to steal this idea. I have to steal this idea.
Well, you'll enjoy it, believe me.
But the porch is longer, so I think I'm going to snag 2 of them. What do you think?
That's probably a good idea.
Well, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so I'm going to sincerely steal Dan and Sue's idea for a fan up here on the porch ceiling. Now, there's a couple of things you have to remember, though. When you're going out to look for them, you want to make sure you're getting a good name brand fan, because if you get an off-brand, you're not going to get the quality. Now, Phil and I are finishing up some details on this porch, and we have a really tight budget on this baby. So we want to keep each fan, we're going to get 2 of them, we want to keep each fan under $100. And believe it or not, because of the great selection and all the companies that are making them now, that's not going to be as tough. The big problem I have, though, is I've got to figure out what's going on. Now, here's where the light was originally. So this is where the fan will mount. The issue is we have what this is called a box beam out here. And I have to make sure that the fan blades will not be hitting this boom, 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 you know, when they're swinging around. And in fact, this is close enough to the box beam that a 52-inch standard fan, that's the diameter it swings, won't work. We're going to have to get a 42. Shouldn't be a big problem. Now we're going to go up to the full-service lumberyard. They've got a great selection up there, and we'll see if we can find what we need. Let's go. Well, there's no doubt that these full-service lumberyards have huge displays, which actually means a lot of selection for you for anything you might be looking for. And it's no less so, of course, with ceiling fans. And this place has hundreds of different ones to choose from. Now, stop and remember for a second our 3 criteria. It had to be a name brand fan because I wanted something that was quality. It had to be under $100 because it has to fit into my budget on this particular renovation project. And it had to have a 42-inch diameter fan swing because if it didn't, it'd hit the house and hit the box beam and we wouldn't be able to use it at all. So take a look at these 2 up here. Now we've got one with oak blades and a faux finish on the body which looks like copper. That's a good looking fan, but it has 52-inch fan blades, so it won't work. It's too big. Now the one directly behind it, the white one, has a nice look, has a schoolhouse globe, and it has 42-inch fan blades, which is what we need. It also only has 4 blades instead of 5, but that's not that big of a deal for what we're really doing. Now, one of those fans, the one with the wood blades, is rated for outdoors, and the white one is not. Does that make a big difference? Well, not really in our situation, because remember, that fan's going to be nestled up behind the box beam, up on the ceiling, no direct hit from rain or snow or anything like that, so we should be in good shape. I'm going to get 2 of them. They're only 69 bucks, and that's what's really important, because it's just under our budget of $100. Get 2, and I'll show you how to install them. Hey, we got the fans. All right. Now, once you get the fans home, of course, they just magically install themselves. Well, nah. But you can hire an electrician if you want to. It's going to cost you 40 or 50 bucks for one fan. Whereas, on the other hand, if you're going to install several, and we're going to install 2, it might be 60 or 70 bucks total for 2 of them. But it's definitely a way that you can save some money by doing it yourself. Now, of course, you just need a little bit of a utility knife here to get them open. Don't cut yourself and don't go too deep because you don't want to mar anything. And let's see what's in here. Well, we have the instructions right on top and the warranty information. Let's see, they're not in Japanese and they're not in Greek. They're actually in English. And they're actually in good shape, good drawings and everything. It also comes in Spanish for those folks that speak Spanish, because these companies sell them all over the world. Now, first thing you have to do, of course, is pull everything out and make sure everything's there. These are the fan blades and the brackets and stuff. And then we've got the glove. I'm going to set that over there so it doesn't get hurt. And there's the bell that goes on top. Here's the motor housing. That's that. And a bunch of screws and bolts and stuff. Even more of them down here. You want to make sure you have everything. So go through your instructions and check it out before you start assembling things, because if you don't have everything, you can go back and trade it in and get one that does. Now make sure the electricity's off to the wires. You can get an inexpensive voltage tester down at the lumber yard and just test them to make sure they're off. And yeah, they're off. Then you have to strip the wires. That means take the little plastic coating off the end of the wire, so back about 3/4 of an inch. The next step is to take the plate and screw that up into the ceiling. Now the wires come through the hole in the middle there, and that works out pretty slick. Then the motor housing. And look at this. I love this because it just slips right in there. It kind of like moves around. It's just perfect. It works so neat. You get the wires, well, you know what that's all about. Get the wires put together, get the wire nuts on them, and then you can put your housing over. That hides everything, basically, and just slips over the top. And then the next step after you have that all screwed on is to put the fan blades on themselves. And they go on real simply. You just have to take your time and put them up. And then the last thing to go up is the globe. And this one has a schoolhouse globe, which I really like. Well, we got them up. They're all lined up. They look really nice. And you know what? It's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work. You might want to consider hiring an electrician for that 70, 80 bucks to put up 2 fans. That's really a pretty good deal. But if your budget's tight like ours, you can put them up yourself. Just be careful and do all the safety things that we talked about. Now go ahead and turn them on, Phil. Let's see if they're rolling here. All right. Well, you never know. You know, you might not have them wired right, but we got it right. It's working. And that's all I really wanted to know. Now, they're going to create a lot of cool air up here on the porch, and that's great, but there just seems to be something missing. And I think, I'm not really sure if it's over here. No, you know what? Oh, I know what it was. About a month ago, I thought about putting a porch swing here, like on your grandma's porch. I think it's still a great idea. Now, Phil's not going to be too happy about it because it's not in the budget, but he'll like it. So I'm going to go to the lumberyard and get one. I wish I had gotten one when I was there before. Boy, I tell you something. While a ceiling fan on a front porch generates air and helps keep you cool, I kind of like to have a reason to go out on the porch, something inviting.
Well, right here is a great display. We have hammocks here, which if you want to take a snooze, you just jump right into one of those. But I'm here to look at porch swings. There's a couple of great ones here. Look at this one. It's wrought iron. It's got some nice work on it. I like it a lot. Now this one is the kind that you'd see on your grandma's porch. And it has galvanized staples here, and it has some lag bolts, but it's not really as sturdy as what I'm looking for. Now this one right here has got beefy framing underneath. It's all treated lumber. It's got galvanized screws, which will keep from rusting. I mean, this is really well built. Problem is, it isn't quite the style that I'm looking for the Queen Anne house. This one is built about the same as the other, treated lumber, galvanized screws, but it's got a nice little swoop on the top and some cutouts. It'll look great on that porch. Now something else about these, they come with a chain. This is a galvanized chain right here, and that comes with the swing. It's pretty beefy, but believe it or not, I weigh 260 pounds. Of course, that's a pure muscle, no doubt. So I'm going to opt to go up a chain size. This is about 80 cents a foot, but I guarantee if it's installed properly to the joists in the ceiling of the porch, it won't fall down, and I don't want to land on my keister. So what I'm going to do is go in here, buy this baby, and we'll take it back and I'll show you how to install it. Oh, I tell you, this thing is heavy. I think it might be these chains. Let's get those off of here. We got some stuff here. Let's go ahead and open up this box and see what we have here. Hopefully it's exactly what we just looked at out of the lumberyard, huh? Sure enough. It's got the sculptured seat. All right, we got a bag of bolts. Got those smaller chains, I don't know, 260 pounds? Nah, we're gonna use the big one. And oh yeah, great, we got instructions. Well, we'll see how long that lasts, huh? We'll pull everything out of the box and get it out so you can see it. And also the bolts and the screws and the washers and the nuts and all that stuff. Make sure you have everything. What's neat is that all you really have to assemble is the back to the base, and then the arms. You need a wrench, and you need basically a screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver or a regular screw gun. And it goes together so slick. Look at this. A couple screws here and there. It's very logical and fun. Well, that's really not too tough to put together, actually. I'm kind of amazed. The instructions, of course, are no good. Putting it together is easy, but the hard part is getting it up on the ceiling of the porch. Now remember, porch ceilings are made of wood, usually wood tongue and groove type material, and if you just screw the big eye bolts up into the ceiling, it's going to collapse on you. So you have to get into the ceiling joist. In order to do that, I like to use what we call a stud finder. It's an electronic device originally developed by NASA when they had a hard time finding President Clinton. Now, the way it works is you come up here on the ceiling and you set it up there good and tight and you press the little button. A little green light comes on at the bottom. You start to move it over, the red light comes on, it keeps going up towards the top until you get right there. And that's exactly where that ceiling joist is, right there. So I'm going to mark that, baby. Now we want the swing to be halfway between the box beam and the fan, so we measure in halfway and then we drill the holes for the eye bolts. Now I put beeswax on the threads. My dad was a beekeeper. I've had that cake forever, but boy does it make those threads go in there easy. Then you want to make sure that the seat is 18 inches off the floor. Get a level on there to make sure it's level from one side to the other. Look at it real well and you're in good shape. Well, it seems to be holding pretty well. We got it into those ceiling joists. That's important. There's nothing better than sitting on a front porch.
Hey, Daddy.
Hey, Megan. How are you?
Fine.
Walking home from school?
Yeah, you've made a lot of progress in the house. Is it almost done?
It's almost done. It's almost done. What do you think of this porch swing?
It's pretty cool.
You like it?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something about porch swings. This is the only place little girls ever get to have dates when they get into high school. And there's a reason for that, so that I can watch you from this window back here.
Daddy!
I'm just kidding. But they are nice, aren't they, porch swings? And we put these fans in. You know, I even saved enough money on the fans to be able to get this porch swing, so it's a great place to sit in it.
Yeah.
We talked about window air conditioners, a mechanical type of air conditioning at the top of the show today. Really, we've talked about a lot of inexpensive ways to stay cool, and that's important to remember. It's also important to remember that you're saving energy, and that's not just about your pocketbook. It's about the environment as well, and that's very important. Now, I've got a lot of work left to do on this porch, including getting these spandrels sanded, get them primed and painted, so I got to get back to work. But hey, thanks for spending some time with me today. Until next time, I'm Bob Yapp, about your house.
About Your House with Bob Yapp was partially underwritten by the National Trust for Historic Preservation.
In past places and future spaces, from main streets to back roads, we're helping Americans bring preservation home. The National Trust for Historic Preservation.